Barbino, what's Barbino? Zeke Black is in the building. Party people, I'm sorry for being a little late today, but I was making my rounds in Clubhouse and my good guy named Poston, E-Band Films, he was doing something on the Outpost story, the Troy Reed interview with Hassan Campbell. And he was just doing a reaction video, and I was on the stage and I was able to speak and put my input up there on the stage. It's me as well as Fox 914, my man, Al Great Goose from Fred Magazine Media. And it was a great conversation. It was definitely, that was good, it was good. It was a great vibe. It was a good vibe. I'm gonna check it out. I posted it in my community board. It's eBay Films to my album. I was able to give, from what I remember when I was younger, seeing output from my community, seeing my neighborhood, certain names that pose around. Definitely shout out to East Harlem, all those from East River, Metro, New Metro, 100th Street. Now, today's show, shout out to Queens. This is about the Supreme team. Bimmy's been on Vlad. Glaze has had like 6-7 videos speaking about Queen team. Bimmy, Cat, and Nas, he just did the Tribeca Film Festival. I guess the documentary is of the Supreme Team docu-series supposed to be on Showtime, which is a good look. And we're just touching up on why was the last time Preem went to jail? His last case. Why is he in jail? It's crazy. The streets are dirty. There's so many stories. Allegedly of a car deal going wrong. Somebody got shot. That led to chaos. Deputy shout out to Preem from the Supreme Team. We talk about South Jamaica, Queens, South Side. Now, I have some paperwork. Definitely Harlem's in the building. I have the case. I have a case. The paperwork. A good friend of mine named Crown Court TV. He does the paperwork diligently, and at any given time, he allows me to use his paperwork on my platform. And which he has no problem with it. But I always reach out, I got this idea, boom, can I use this thing for the case? You know what I'm saying? And he says yes, no problem. Because I'd rather him say no than me just do something. And then it's just like it creates chaos. So that's why you don't want to create chaos. You want to be real. That's the part about life, being real, accepting no. But he always says, yeah, even I woke him up out of sleep, he was like, yeah, no problem, T, go. So double shout out to Crown Court TV, my man Prince. The case, this is the case, it's United States versus Kenneth Supreme McGriff, according to the United States government. This is what he's in jail for now. Jamaica Queens, the 80s, it was crazy. 90s was even crazier. But he came home. And when he came home, he got into the music industry stuff. And we hear stories about him and his being Cent, and that Ja Rule, Murder Inc., Feds, Eat Money Bags. They got a little crazy. But this is what the man's actually, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the voices that he has, like Mei Ling, and I believe it was another female that he had that was doing the voices, that was doing, the voiceovers for this. But this is dope, man. This is what Preem's in jail for.
Welcome back to Crown TV, of course, brought to you by Crown TV, of course. I go by the name of Prince James. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Hopefully everybody is having a good day on this nice Sunday. Hopefully y'all had a good holiday. I wanted to do something different. This is something that I kind of been wanting to do for a while now, and that's dig up old cases and have another look at them. So hopefully y'all enjoy this video. This is the case against Kenneth Supreme McGriff, according to the United States government. Peace.
jury heard the testimony of over a dozen witnesses, including 3 members of the hit squad McGriff hired to kill Smith and Singleton, and 2 narcotics traffickers, Terrence Terrell and Michael Todd Hardy, who engaged in wholesale heroin deals with McGriff. In addition, the government called to testify a detective who found McGriff's fingerprints on a number of items in a Maryland drug stash house. Notably, the detective found his prints on the cover of cassette tapes, one of which was a surveillance videotape of Smith that members of McGriff's criminal enterprise made of Smith moments before his death. The government also introduced into evidence text messages sent and received over McGriff's two-way pager, which he used to communicate with the leader of the hit squad about the plots to murder Smith and Singleton. The government showed that in July, McGriff was arrested with the tools of the drug trade, a loaded firearm and extra clip, over $10,000 in cash, and a bogus driver's license in the name Lee Tuden. Cooperating witness described McGriff as having a Chevy Lumina with a trap or secret compartment and registered in his Lee Tuden alias. Police tracked down the car, which had been impounded and sold to an unsuspecting owner in the years since McGriff had it. The detectives confirmed that it had a secret compartment and which held 2 items McGriff had unwittingly left behind: a balloon filled with heroin and an empty gun magazine. Following McGriff's release from jail on a parole violation in 1997, he began purchasing wholesale quantities of drugs, sometimes relying on his reputation to convince suppliers to provide drugs on credit. In 1997 to 1998, cooperating witness Hardy engaged in 3 drug deals with McGriff, including the sale of 1 kilogram of heroin to McGriff and his associate Baby Wise, aka Timothy Jones, that McGriff obtained on credit based on his reputation, and B, the sale of 1 kilogram of cocaine to McGriff and another of McGriff's criminal associates, Green-Eyed Born, aka Nathan May, that McGriff paid for upfront. By 2000,
I know Green-Eyed Born. I know Mr. Mays. You see how strong his reputation was? His name got him bricks of narcotics because of his name, who he was, his name. They got the power in Queen's name. The 2 names they talked about, one of them is E-Money Bags and one is Big Nose Troy. Queen's legends.
McGriff had reestablished his criminal enterprise. Cooperating witness Terrell testified that he worked for a big drug dealer in Baltimore, Billy Guy, and that McGriff was their main supplier of heroin. Beginning in April 2001, Terrell began helping Guy, who at the time was incarcerated, operate his drug organization. According to Terrell, during a jailhouse conversation, Guy advised him that McGriff was very upset over the loss of 2 kilograms of McGriff's cocaine. This occurred in April 2001, when 2 of McGriff's drug workers, Victor Wright, Vic, and Karen Claret, Kay, were arrested en route to North Carolina. The 2 had traveled to North Carolina for McGriff to set up a drug pipeline from Baltimore. This was corroborated by cooperating witness John Reagan, who testified that McGriff had told him that Wright and Claret had been arrested with drugs on them. According to McGriff, when Claret made bail, he continued transporting drugs for McGriff to repay the debt he had incurred. Guy asked Terrell to help him keep the money straight while Guy was in jail, which included making sure that debts to McGriff were paid. Thereafter, while Guy was incarcerated and continuing after Guy was released on parole, Terrell was present during several wholesale drug deals with McGriff. Typically, McGriff had a member of his crew present and supplied between 500 to 1,000 grams of heroin at a time, and occasionally cocaine. At times, the drug flow would be interrupted because McGriff was nervous he was being investigated. At those times, McGriff would lend Guy money to buy drugs from other sources. One reason for McGriff's concern was his arrest on July 24, 2001, in Harlem by Sergeant Donald Morgan and other officers of the New York City Police Department. After a traffic stop, Sergeant Morgan helped recover from McGriff a loaded firearm, an extra clip, plus over $10,000 in cash. McGriff told the sergeant his name was Ricky Coleman, but he had a driver's license in the name Lee Tootin. The sergeant only learned of McGriff's identity when he ran McGriff's fingerprints and obtained a rap sheet. McGriff was released on bail a few days later and ultimately pled guilty to a state gun charge. After the gun arrest, Guy told Terrell that he was under the impression that when McGriff began serving a sentence on the gun case, Guy was going to be running everything. A month later, on August 24th, 2001, Baltimore detectives executed a search warrant at a McGriff stash house, an apartment located in Owings Mills, Maryland. During the search, detectives recovered 731 grams of cocaine, 34 grams of heroin, 249 grams of cocaine base, a loaded Ruger in the bedroom dresser, $30,520 in cash, and various drug packaging paraphernalia. The detectives also recovered a firearms training certificate issued on August 6, 2000 to Lee Tootin, McGriff's alias. In addition, the detectives found a bag containing several videotapes underneath the bed in the master bedroom. McGriff's fingerprints were lifted from one of the videotape covers found under the bed, the bathroom medicine cabinet, a Regency hotel bill in the name of another McGriff alias, and a matchbook. In 2004, NYPD detectives debriefed cooperating witness Reagan, one of McGriff's criminal associates who ran a fraudulent credit card and rental car ring. Reagan recalled that in approximately 2000 to 2001, McGriff drove a Chevy Lumina registered in the name Lee Tootin. At McGriff's request, Reagan had a trap or secret compartment installed in the car. On July 8, 2004, NYPD detectives obtained a search warrant to search the Lumina, which had been impounded and sold to an unsuspecting owner in the years since McGriff had it. The detectives located old rusted traps hidden beneath the car floor, which contained two items McGriff had apparently left behind: a balloon filled with heroin and an empty gun magazine. McGriff and Reagan, together with another McGriff associate, Wayne Davis, produced a straight-to-video movie together entitled Crime Partners. The film, shot over several weeks in 2000, cost approximately $450,000 to make. Most of that was paid for with McGriff's cash, which McGriff stated he was getting from Baltimore. Reagan explained that they hoped the movie would make enough money through a soundtrack that Irving Lorenzo, also known as Irv Gotti, the CEO of Murder Inc. Records, was helping them produce through a record deal he helped them obtain with Def Jam Records. Reagan identified several of the tapes recovered from the Owings Mills stash house as behind-the-scenes footage from the film set. After the search, McGriff complained to Reagan that his spot had got raided down there and he lost the behind-the-scenes footage tapes that he was holding. Separately, Guy told Terrell that McGriff was upset that money he intended to invest in his movie was taken during the search of an apartment that Terrell recalled being used as a drug stash house. Reagan met McGriff through McGriff's close associate, Colbert Johnson, also known as Black Just, who Reagan befriended while the two were incarcerated together in the mid-1990s. McGriff and Johnson were best friends. They were like brothers. In approximately 1998, after Johnson's introduction, McGriff began renting high-end cars from Reagan, for which he always paid in cash, and the two became close. In December 1999, McGriff asked Reagan to pick him up at the home of Nana, the mother of McGriff associate God B., aka Chauncey Miller, located near Paisley Pond on Lakeview Lane in Jamaica, Queens, which is also known as the Lakeview House. From there, the two took a car ride to pick up a Range Rover that Reagan was leasing to McGriff. During the ride, McGriff confided that the Range Rover had been involved in a shootout. According to McGriff, he and Johnson had the Range Rover near a barber shop in Queens when they got into an argument with Smith and Thomas Baylor, aka Homo, over money. McGriff stated that Smith started shooting at McGriff, who jumped out of the Range Rover and started shooting back while running away. During the ensuing shootout, McGriff's gun jammed and Johnson was struck with a bullet. McGriff stated to Reagan that he put Johnson in the Range Rover and took him to the hospital where he died. The government introduced into evidence still photographs from a Jamaica hospital surveillance camera showing McGriff dropping off Johnson at the hospital. From that day on, McGriff vowed to Reagan that he was going to get the guys that killed Johnson. In the ensuing months, McGriff drove the streets searching for Smith and Homo. He complained to Reagan that he was having a hard time finding them, despite having people helping him, including Dennis Crosby, also known as Howbout and Divine. In 2001, McGriff eventually turned to cooperating witness Emmanuel Mosley for help killing his targets. Mosley, like McGriff, had a prior CCE conviction and ran his own drug operation in Harlem, New York City. One of Mosley's drug suppliers was Davis, who, as noted, helped Reagan and McGriff make the Crime Partners film. Mosley had earned Davis's trust when he agreed to kill a neighborhood robber who was targeting Davis. Mosley recruited Russell Allen, also known as Les, to help kill the robber, though the murder plot failed. It was Davis who introduced Mosley to McGriff on the set of the Crime Partners movie. When Mosley ran into McGriff at a nightclub sometime after the introduction, McGriff asked him to put in a little bit of work, which Mosley understood meant he was being hired to shoot people. During their initial conversation, McGriff complained that the targets were oppressing somebody, which to Mosley meant they were shaking down an associate of McGriff for money. McGriff stated that Mosley would need a couple of guys to help him because the people they were targeting shoot back. McGriff agreed to pay Mosley $25,000 for each person killed, with the money divided among Mosley and the rest of his team. Mosley agreed and the two exchanged pager numbers. In the summer of 2001, Mosley assembled a team for the job comprised of Alvin Derek Smiley, also known as Al, Barry Mungo, also known as Trip, Russell Allen, also known as Les, and Clemiet Jordan, also known as TJ. Mungo and Jordan also testified pursuant to cooperation agreements and corroborated much of Mosley's account. Mosley drove with McGriff's hit team to Queens, where Mosley met McGriff. At the meeting, McGriff stated to Mosley that the men he wanted killed, E. Moneybags, aka Smith, Big Nose Troy, aka Troy Singleton, and Green Eyed Born, aka Nathan May, were part of a crew that had smacked up and were trying to extort money from Lorenzo, so they had to be dealt with. Reagan too recalled McGriff complaining that Singleton had robbed two of Lorenzo's employees. McGriff told Reagan that Lorenzo was irate. He was running around screaming and hollering that he wanted to get the guys that did this. Reagan explained that by robbing Lorenzo's employees, Singleton had been disrespectful to Supreme. McGriff's relationship with Lorenzo was confirmed by 2002 text pager messages between McGriff and Lorenzo's sister, Debbie Lorenzo, in which McGriff stated, "I'm here for you and Irv Gotti no matter what, and my background is what keeps N-words in line, never to f with us. Good night, Deb." McGriff also told Reagan that because Singleton was a friend of Smith's, he may retaliate against McGriff for any action McGriff took against Smith. Thus, McGriff told Mosley he wanted Smith, Singleton, and May killed, with Smith being the priority. McGriff eventually added Homo, aka Baylor, to the list of targets because he would retaliate for the killing of Smith. Mosley recalled that McGriff had several people helping him find the targets, including Crosby.
Those are popular names in Queens. These guys' names that you're hearing, they're saying, these are official cats. Official cats. Salute all those. This is official cats. This is the paperwork. This is what Queen, this is what the government versus Supreme. This is what I'm bringing to you guys. I'm bringing you the information. Some of the information was out there, but just we putting the information out there. It's the right time to bring this information back. This video was made a few years back by Crown Coast TV. I remember when he actually made this video because we used to speak daily on the phone, just to let you know. So I remember when he was doing the Supreme thing, and he was doing a lot of videos. AR Rab, to say the less, Shotty, Treyway. Just to name a few, Crown Coast TV, you know Mr. Paperboy. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say Primus had a strong loyalty for Black Chess. And technically, no matter all that other stuff he was doing, he was doing something big. That black just, you hear the story, we gotta kill these guys. These guys gotta go. I didn't even, look what you said. I didn't even know Green Eye Bone was in that mega mix. Green Eye Bone was in the mix, even when Bone hit. Hearing the names Billy Guy. Y'all know Billy Guy. He's a famous guy. Come out the Bronx, Baltimore. These are names. These is names. This is names, man. In the streets, man.
And when he received tips on their possible whereabouts, he would pass them on to Mosley. McGriff provided Mosley with the basement apartment of the Lakeview house, where the hit team began staying for days at a time while they searched for the targets. McGriff gave Mosley a photograph of Smith to help him identify the target. Over the course of several weeks, Mosley and the hit team repeatedly went out looking for targets, especially Smith and Singleton. Crosby often would drive them because he was familiar with Queens and could point out Smith. At times, McGriff and Mosley would go out with them for backup. The text messages confirmed McGriff was communicating with associates, including Mosley, about locating his targets. Periodically, McGriff would express frustration that it was taking so long to find the targets, and would try and rush Mosley by claiming he had enlisted a second crew to carry out the murders. On July 16, 2001, McGriff told Mosley that Crosby's girlfriend, Nicole Brown, called to report she had seen Smith. As noted, when the Baltimore detectives searched the Owings Mills stash house, they discovered a cache of tapes, one of which had McGriff's fingerprints on the cover. One of the tapes was a surveillance videotape of Smith, which NYPD detectives confirmed Brown had filmed from her apartment window looking out on 111th Road in Queens, where Smith frequently visited. The videotaping occurred over the course of several days in early July, ending on the date of the murder, July 16, 2001. On that date, the footage reflected that Brown had the camera focused on the truck Smith was sitting in as he ate a plate of food from a nearby barbecue party, at one point zooming in on his license plate. The tape captured Brown speaking on the telephone about Smith, whom she referred to in code as her and Miss E for E Moneybags, and providing back street driving directions to the person on the other end of the line. Records for Brown's telephone reflect a call from her home to McGriff's cell phone at 4:34 p.m. that day. The detectives determined that the videotaping ended at approximately 9:20 p.m. on July 16, 2001, approximately 20 minutes before Smith was murdered. After Brown provided the tip regarding Smith's location, the hit team assembled in the basement of the Lakeview house. They armed themselves with guns and donned bulletproof vests and gloves that McGriff supplied. McGriff sent a text pager message at approximately 8 p.m. to Rob Lyons, aka Son, who was helping him search for Smith, saying he was by Nana House, meaning the Lakeview house. McGriff and Mosley got into McGriff's Lumina, while the rest of the hit team got into Crosby's car. They had walkie-talkies in both cars so they could communicate. The shooters drove to the block where Smith sat in his truck parked on 111th Road in front of Brown's apartment. Meanwhile, Mosley and McGriff parked around the block within earshot. At 9:45 p.m., the hit team, Allen, Mungo, Smiley, and Jordan, shot Smith 11 times in the head and body, killing him. Smith never had time to draw the .380 semi-automatic pistol he had in the truck. A cell phone lay in his lap. Crosby drove the shooters back to the Lakeview house, where they met up with Mosley. The hit team put the used guns in a black duffel bag that they left behind. Less than an hour after the murder, McGriff sent a text message to Son confirming he was at the Lakeview house. Come to the crib, 12241 Lakeview. Then, McGriff began sharing the good news of Smith's death with his associates. Just after midnight on the night of the murder, McGriff sent a text message to Lorenzo stating, "You missed the party." Reagan recalled receiving a call from McGriff, during which McGriff stated that Blackie, aka Johnson, could rest in peace now, and that the shooting was like the 4th of July. McGriff also told Reagan that they had gotten Smith while he was distracted by a cell phone call. A day or so later, McGriff paid Mosley $25,000 in cash, which Mosley then shared with the hit team. After the killing of Smith, Mosley continued to hunt for McGriff's remaining targets. This was confirmed by various text pager messages that he and McGriff exchanged. For example, on July 18, 2001, 2 days after Smith's killing, Mosley and McGriff had the following exchange about Mosley's team getting...
If people, just that we're on the same page, party people. This is United States of America versus Supreme, the actual case. This is the case right here, right? This is what the case he put together. What I'm watching now, for those that don't know why people's in jail, people that's not from this country, this is the beginning. There's more of this content on Crown Courts TV. This is where I got this from. Good friend of mine. This weekend, it's gonna be a Queens weekend. I'm gonna do a whole bunch of stuff on Queens, Prince. Just come around, you know what I'm saying? Double shout out to Queens, man. Nas did the he got the docu-series coming out on Showtime. Bimmy did the Vlad. Glaze is doing numerous topics about them because we can't take away that he was amongst them. So he got some stories he's putting together. Right now it's Queens, you know what I'm saying? It's called Pacer.com. What's the actual papers? It's called Pacer.com. But
more money for going after the additional targets.
let's just see. This is the paper.
The next day, July 19th, 2001, McGriff and Lorenzo had the following text message exchange confirming that the hunt for targets continued. Irv Gotti, nothing is over. Turn the heat up again on these bitches. Get the patsy eyes. McGriff, we on it today. Call my cell now. In the early morning of October 28th, 2001, when Singleton was murdered, Mosley was with a hit team. This time, the crew was comprised of the two shooters who killed Smith, Smiley and Mungo, together with an additional shooter Mosley recruited, a Brooklyn hitman named Eric Moore, also known as eBay. Mosley recalled being in touch with McGriff via pager, which the records confirmed. Those records also corroborated Mosley's testimony that he learned of Singleton's location through McGriff and was trying to find Crosby to be the getaway driver. For example, during the late night of October 27th into the early morning of October 28th, 2001, they had the following exchange.
Yo, somebody doing the building. Shout out to Queens, you heard? This is the paperwork thing.
Approximately an hour and a half after McGriff's final message, the hit team shot and killed Singleton outside a sports bar on Liberty Place off the Van Wyck. Mosley recalled meeting with McGriff to get paid the next day, October 28th, 2001, by the Pita Hut restaurant on 28th Street in Manhattan. which the messages they exchanged at 5:40 p.m. that day confirmed.
Shout out to Crown Courts TV, man. You heard Irv Gotti name pop up in this. You heard what Irv said, right? So you shouldn't be surprised that the feds actually went up in the Irv Gotti situation, because you see, in the actual case of Supreme, Irv Gotti said something. The Lorenzo family came up a few times. His sister, Irv Gotti. So now outsiders, we're just thinking, yo, he was messing with Preem and Preem made him hot. But you was sure your name, your family name is caught up in this case, in his case. So I'm not surprised, because y'all are the money, piece of the money, the record label, that the feds have knocked your doors in that. No. Play with your little something. You see how E-Money Bags, how a girl was recording him, his movements, and that was the drop on him. Big Nose Troy, the restaurant. These guys wasn't playing. They got the names that's attached to this case. The names is popping up. Billy Guy, Preem, Lorenzo. These guys in the era of New York, for those that's not from America, these were who's. You don't hear about the who's who a lot, because there's more famous individuals in the street that people seem to talk about. But these schools is who's. It's gonna be a Queens weekend. We're representing Queens. Shout out to Smitty Brim. I ain't gotta work tomorrow though, Smitty. But double R's in the building. This is the paperwork, you know what I'm saying? One thing I do is that I'm a true believer. I'm a true believer in, I'm a true believer in asking for permission. You know what I'm saying? When I do something. Even though it's not a problem, but I like to do my due diligence. So we gotta give people the information. You know what I'm saying? So for those that may assume that Zeke Black just reposted somebody's video, this is me and today, me and Crown. Me and Crown's conversation. I'm using this video. I don't gotta show a disclaimer all the time, but I gotta show some of you guys that like to use other people's content. It's all right to hit somebody up. It's a yes or no. How is this official? He has no problem with me using it, but I just like to be, a man about things. Because he can say no, not right now. Salute to the voice that was on there. We have more content coming. Check out Crown Courts TV, the videos. He has multiple videos. Get in tune. This is a hot topic. Supreme Team. The Supreme Team. I know Mr. May. I was up north with him. Spent the yard with Mr. May. When he was playing poker, you know what I'm saying? Like I told you, the streets of New York is a respectable thing. I was in 5 Points with Big Mike from the murder unit. When Big Mike was trying to highlight a certain dude that was in Sawanga because his code for it was up in there. So for those that know from 08, 09, you know what I'm talking about. They used to be in the gym playing poker. This is classic New York. I got the old New York Queens colors. You see, I got the old New York, I got the Queens colors on. You representing Queens, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Nas. My IG is Black Feet the Wolves. I'm making my rounds. Just the other day, check out the Cowboy. Cowboy pulled up. That was a great job King of the God did with Pete from Unstricted Mentality when they were speaking to Cowboy. Because they gave Cowboy a chance to speak. Cowboy, Thundercat, the one that's that Nipsey Hussle situation. So we're just showing where the content is moving, where the content is going. When Queens stand up, what? Shout out to the South Side, man. You know what I'm saying? And y'all wonder why. You see how small the streets is? How everybody knows who the Brooklyn cat from here, the up north dude, I met him in jail. Yo, that was Blackie Man, boom there. You see the connections? That's why your name is your name. You take value to your name. Because you see what they said in the beginning, Preem was getting work with the strength of being Preem. Yo, let me get a brick. You know how much money you make for a brick, a hammer? Oh, they're on consignment. Somebody give you a free brick of dope. You're gonna make close to $1 million. Definitely over 100,000 on the breakdown. So your name gotta be something. You heard what they said. You see what they said. Yo, he got hit on consignment because of his name. Yo, so let me get a break because I'm playing. You understand what I'm saying? Ricky Brown's in the building, you heard? Shout out to Tav, you know what I'm saying? 115th. Fifth Avenue, Madison, Park. I gotta go. I hope y'all like this. Queen stand up. We getting this going. Shout out to my man Teflon Dawn. From the YG's North Side. Shout out to my man Old Big Soul Movement, man. Cuzzo Hood, everything on 118 something. There's a lot going on, man. Rockaway, my man Chopper, Alley Cat, Black, OG Black, from 118th. My man Ja, Ja from the South Side. OG Charlie, Wop, Uncle Wop, Ty, Mark, Lashley. The bros, man. My man Butter from Fox. Shout out to Big Queens, man. There's a store I should go to on 116th. I think that's 116th. The Spanish guy always show me love, man. Shout out to Bobby at the store right there right by that, on that corner, across the street from the funeral home. I believe that's 115th. No, 116th. Oh, should love both Bobby stores. The one right there in the corner, then the one on the block between Fox and 118th. Bobby, that's my man. That's 115th, no doubt. Yeah, there's one on 115th too. The one that's up the block right by where that funeral home is at. And Bobby right there across the street from Fox to 118. That's my man, Bobby. It's a community team, you know what I'm saying? Where the little homies be at, you know what I mean? Shout out to the realers, and you know what I'm saying? The realers out there, the ones that's being safe. That being said, man, shout out to Queens. I hope y'all like the content. There wasn't no remixing. We're dealing with straight content. We got the paperwork. This is real paperwork, baby. This is the paperwork. The paperwork. You know what I'm saying? That being said, man, we here, we in the building, man. Love Queens, man. Nas Jordan's bringing us back. Shout out to Queensbridge, though. What? That being said, I gotta go. I appreciate y'all. Salute. It should be a Queensboro weekend. That being said, peace. Oh, shout out to Wifey Southern Bell. Everything in St. Louis. West Side St. Louis. That's what she represents. She represents the West Side Southern Bell. Wifey. Her brother, Keith Walker Jr. Shout out to 99 for Lex Walsh. Exactly. Washington Projects. Stood to Cincinnati. You feel me? East St. Louis. Across the water. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Peace. Shout out to East Harlem, man. East Side, East Harlem, man.